Are you playing ranked but you're stuck in platinum just like me? Well, I have been playing competitive for a pretty long time now and I've learned quite a few things along the way. Things that I should have done better and mistakes that I made. I have put together some basic tips for the both of us so that we can finally climb that ladder and reach diamond. So first of all, don't play heroes you're not good at, especially when you perform below average on this hero. If you want to try out heroes, use quick play. Don't do this in competitive, it is bad. Now of course there are some exceptions for this, all in the favor of the team. If for some reason an enemy player is killing it on Pharah and the team needs you to swap to soldier, do it. Even if you perform less than average on soldier, you'll still be doing your job killing Pharah, hopefully. If your team needs you to switch to Winston because Genji is murdering your whole team, switch. Now the reason why you shouldn't play heroes you're not good at is because you will probably perform worse than when you're playing a hero you're actually good at. And this is bad for everyone because your team is losing kills and maybe worse, gaining in deaths. If you want to play a different hero, that's totally fine, but please do it in quick play and play at least a decent amount of time on this hero until you feel ready to take it to competitive. Which brings me to my next important point. Please don't main one hero. Try to main at least one in every category. One of the worst experiences that I had in competitive play are teammates that only want to play one hero. Whether it is because they feel comfortable on how to play this hero or simply don't want to switch for the better interest of the team, I don't know, but it's bad. So most of the times these players who just main one hero don't want to switch, they're made out to be trolls. The reason why the whole team lost, etc. They mostly get flamed pretty bad, and you know, sometimes they can even get reported. So try not to do that. Just don't main one hero. If you really want to play one hero only, just do it in quick play. Overwatch is a team game, and if you can't adjust to the teams in need, then you have no place in competitive. Sorry. Do a lot of practice, do a lot of quick play on the new heroes that you want to try out. Try to main one, at least one in every category. Personally, I have one in every category, and I also have secondaries that I'm not exceptionally well at, but I can still do some decent work with those heroes in case it's needed that I need to switch to one of these, and also the case when one of my teammates has chosen one of my mains in that category. Another important thing that you need to keep in mind is that you don't go solo. Group up with your team, because if you go solo, I've seen a lot of times, like for example Reinhardt has his barrier up, right, and his team is behind him. He charges in without anyone knowing what's going on. He charges in, the enemy team surrounds him, he's finished, he's dead, he's out of the game. He has to respawn back, and the team has to do it without Reinhardt. I don't know what he's thinking. He wants to solo or something. I don't know, he thinks he's invincible or anything. Unless of course he's got Ana boosted, then this is a different story. But don't go solo. If you're like for example a squishy, even a tank, don't go solo. Unless you're like a flanker, then it's okay. But wait up for your team. If you find that your team has just died, everyone is dead, everyone is waiting to respawn and you're there, don't go in. Wait up, group up somewhere, wait for your team to arrive and go in as a group so that you can try again as a new push. Don't push on yourself. It doesn't work. You're gonna die. Then 4 others of your team are gonna try again. Don't do it. 6 versus 6 is best. Don't go 4 versus 6. You won't win. Of course, there's an exception to this, and that is if the game is in overtime, you need to go there. You can't afford to wait up for your group. You need to go there and contest, and hopefully everyone of your team will keep on going there and you have a chance. Which brings me to contesting. Contest, stay on the payload or stay near the point. You don't have to stay in the point, because that's like, if everyone stays in the point, that's bad strategic. Everyone's just in, a Zyra Surge can kill you all. Spread around a little bit, but make sure if there's an enemy on the point, you are on the point as well, because they will just capture the point. About payload maps, contest on payload, best is 3 on payload. The payload will go as fast as possible. If the enemy team is going in overtime and you are just standing around the payload, if enemy team is capturing the point, stay on the point. Don't stay 2 meters next to the point. I've had games where the game should have gone in overtime but didn't because someone was not on the point. Someone who was very near the point. Make sure you pay attention to the timer as well, because sometimes for some reason the music doesn't change when the game is about to go in overtime and everyone is just like, what, we lost already? So make sure you pay attention to the timer as well. Another important thing is target priority. If you're a soldier and no one else in the team has a ranged attack, then take out the Pharah, take out anything that's flying in the air, a Mercy or anything. That is your job. If, for example, you play as a flanker, make sure you take out the support first. There's no point in doing a combo ult with Zarya and Pharah and then you find that Mercy is hidden somewhere and dresses the whole team back. It's a waste of time, waste of energy, waste of ult, and the enemy team has full health again. So make sure you kill the support first, even without doing, if you're not planning on doing a combination of ults, take them out at all times as a flanker, and if you're not a flanker, focus them as well. So one of the most annoying things, and sometimes it's not everyone's fault, it doesn't have to be someone's fault, but some people leave the game prematurely, and they don't leave at the beginning so that the game gets reset. No, they leave in the middle of the game where it's suddenly 5 vs 6, and that's how it's going to be. Sometimes it's because they just leave, they give up, or they rage quit, I don't know. But sometimes it's also because they have a bad internet connection. Sometimes players leave because they feel like they're wasting time in game and they stand no chance anyway. Well, those players, let me tell you something, those players have obviously not played Overwatch long enough to know that tides can completely change in your favor. I've played countless games where we got murdered by the enemy team and all hopes were lost, trust me. But for some weird reason, and up to this day I don't know what exactly happens, but we end up winning the game. I don't know, it's like, I don't know, they get jinxed or something, I have no idea, but it happens, people, it happens. Another thing that happens when one person leaves the game is that it starts like some sort of chain reaction of players leaving the game. I mean, your chances of winning 5 versus 6 are not in your favor, but really, trust me, nothing is impossible. At 5 versus 6, you still have a fighting chance, and you know what? Sometimes people that just leave just disconnect accidentally and join the game afterwards. I've seen this happen a lot of times, and unfortunately what I've also been seen happening is that one player disconnects and another guy gives up and leaves the game as well. Then as it turns out, the initial player that left first rejoins the game. Yeah, so don't leave the game, don't rage quit, don't do any of that, and don't leave the game when one person of your team leaves the game, because that person might just come back. Besides, if you're that person that leaves the game, why are you watching this video? Don't leave games? Let's start with that. Or actually, nah. Alright, next point, team composition and knowing when to switch. If you are being heavily countered pretty bad by someone on the enemy team, then you need to switch. For example, you are playing Pharah and they have a soldier with one mission and one mission only, and that is to track you down and kill you. Then chances are that you're not gonna perform your job well with Pharah, and you need to switch. Second example is that you are killing it with Winston lately and suddenly not so more because the enemy team now has a Reaper and a soldier to hunt you down. It is time to switch, boy! Competitive is not all about playing your favorite character all the time, but it is rather a team game where you play together as a team. Therefore, you need to be open to switch heroes in case you are being countered, or even to counter another hero on the enemy team. One important indicator that you can use at all times is simply using tab to check enemy comp and your own team comp. I use tab many times throughout a match to make sure that we have a well-balanced team. 2-2-2 is, as far as I know, the most default team composition. That means 2 DPS, 2 tank and 2 healer. It's not required at all to have like 2-2-2 every game, but if you have 0 healers on the game and no tanks and everyone is DPS, you don't want to end up with 0 healers, no tanks and all DPS. Funny thing that I see many times is that when the match is over and the team lost, people will always go like, wait, what? We only had 1 healer? I mean, dude, come on. If you had paid attention, you could have noticed way earlier. Stop complaining when it doesn't matter anymore. Another thing, that if you make the decision to switch, make sure you switch within the character you're currently playing. That is, if you are a tank, switch to another tank. Don't switch from tank to healer, because that will mess up the team balance. If, however, you do need to switch to a different type of hero, just make sure you let the team know. So, for example, you're playing a Lucio, but you really need to make the switch to Diva, then let your team know you switched, and maybe someone will swap and take a hero from the healer category. One last thing related to switching is that do not be rude if you really feel like someone on your team needs to switch hero. In the end, you cannot control their minds and make them do the switch, so the best strategy to make someone realize this is to be as polite as possible and bring an argument on why they should switch. Be really friendly usually works. If you are rude, however, the person won't listen to you for sure, though, and you will end up spending too much time and energy on the issue, and in the end, all of this will be bad for your concentration, your performance, as well of the team spirit of the other players, because everyone can read the chat. I want to address one issue though, that is that sometimes you might see a weird pick like Bastion or Widowmaker or a Symmetra on matches where you wouldn't normally expect them. Don't consider these players trolls right away. Instead, go to their career profile and the stats they have on this hero. There are some cases where players perform exceptional with certain heroes. So check out their profile, don't freak out right away telling them to switch because it looks really bad and it's quite rude. Give them a chance to do what they do, and if it doesn't work out, they can switch. I've picked Symmetra on payload maps where I agreed with the team that if it doesn't work, I'll switch. Or that once the enemy team captures point A, that I'll switch, and there's nothing wrong with that. I was Symmetra and I had my teleporter up and I had this DPS guy using all the teleporters, dying every single time, and at the end of the game is like, what the hell dude, Symmetra? What are you thinking? We lost thanks to you. Well dude, you weren't complaining when you were using all of my teleporters. Noob, please uninstall. So that brings me to my next point. Cooperate with your team. The most important thing in Overwatch is to play as a team, so probably should cooperate with them. Personally, I love it when we have a team that communicates their ultimates, so we can make an attempt on combining them, and that is the key. I think if you are playing Zarya and you never communicate your ult, facepalm. The way I see it, Zarya is the root of all combos. There are numerous combos that can be made with Zarya involved. It really annoys me when I see a Zarya in competitive and she throws her ult when no one else is around, she doesn't communicate anything, and in worst case, she captures the whole enemy team in the Graviton Surge, but 0 kills because she was alone. Hang on to your ults, communicate, combine, win the game. In my opinion, that is the most powerful thing in Overwatch. There is really useful tool when it comes to communicating. What is it? Alright, it's voice chat. How silly. If you have a mic, use it. Don't feel shy about it. If you are shy, just do callouts. Mercy low. McCree behind us. Reaper's got ult. Stuff like that. Nobody wants to hear random players tell you how their day was. Anyway, so yeah. But callouts are super easy, really short and very important. Plus, it all just goes a lot better than typing. If you don't have a mic or you don't want to talk, then you know what, that's totally fine. But at least consider joining the voice chat to make sure that you are not missing out on any strategic talk or callouts. And now, the biggest tip that I can give you and the biggest thing I've learned during season 2 is that do not solo queue. Don't solo queue. If you want to rank higher, do not solo queue. This is something that I'm struggling with personally because I personally enjoy playing competitive over a quick play. When I started season 2, I didn't have a lot of friends in my list, and when I logged in, I just want to go in competitive straight away. I don't want to spend hours hoping someone would come online and play comp with me. I just want to get adrenaline straight off. Well, solo queue is going to ruin your rank because statistically, and it's a really hard word for me to say, but statistically, I said it wrong, I know, it is about a 50% win-loss, which means that you will always drop in rank because losing will cost you more points than winning will add up. Also, doing solo queue, you get matches with a bunch of randoms who, first of all, you don't know. You don't know if they main only one hero and will never change. You might just have a troll. You might just have someone who leaves the game in the middle of the match. You might just have someone who gets upset because there are not enough healers and decides to troll and sit in spawn. Personal experience. But even if everything is good, you are still at a disadvantage because you don't have a chemistry with all the other players, and this might sound weird and I don't mean that you should be lovers or anything. But if you're a team with a friend or someone you know, cooperating will go very smooth and you just perform better. You might feel shy to talk to total strangers on voice, which kind of hinders good communication. And even if you're not, someone else might be, so someone else might not be communicating towards you. I'd like to think that a group of 4 players or more is pretty nice, pretty good. There are only 2 other randoms and the chance of trolls have been reduced significantly. Games with 5 or 6 players pre-made can be pretty hard. High chance that both teams are highly coordinated, but you know what? If I need to lose a game, I'd rather have it be an epic fight on all fronts than having a shit game that we lost because a troll in our team just messed up. So there are tons of other reasons why you shouldn't solo queue, but just being able to avoid having trolls and ignorant players alone should do it, because one troll in the game and you have a loss, and like that you are never going to climb up. With that said, here is my final piece of advice, and this comes from self-reflection as well, because I've made this mistake and I regret it. When the new season is there, do not go into placement matches on your own, because even though your rank is based on your own performance, you don't perform well if your team isn't performing well as well. You won't get as much kills as you could if you don't have a healer in your team. You won't get a good score with Reinhardt if you keep getting killed because no one's got your back. In any case, you need your team because you perform better and chances are much better to get 10 out of 10 placement matches if you have a good team. By the way, the rank that you get from placement matches is your starting rank. And would you rather start, for example, 2400 and have to climb your way up to 3000, or would you rather do a good job and do not solo queue and you can start on 2800 and you only have to climb 200 on your way to diamond? Think about it. Anyway guys, that was it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening all the way up to my boring talk. I hope I taught you something, and if you have any questions, disagreements or any comments, please do leave them in the comment section below. I will see you in the next Overwatch video. Check out my others. Ciao ciao. By the way, like this video. I love you.